Hello, listener. I'm Kate Henson, your in house passionate political change maker,
And I'm Wendy Piepenburg, a lifetime psychic medium.
and we are friends.
And we are the Living with Purpose podcast.
Welcome.
And enjoy today's episode. Hello, listener. Thank you for being here. Today, Kate and I are going to talk about the purpose of imagination. I've always been interested in manifestation and using the mind to create, with my imagination, a better future. And you've done this before too, Kate, haven't you? We
Oh,
talked about vision
absolutely.
board. And I was really inspired recently. I was watching a YouTube video. Mel Robbins was a facilitator, and she had Martha Beck on, who is a wonderful OG author and coach, life coach. And she's recently written a book called Beyond Anxiety. It was published in 2025. And I was really inspired thinking that our listeners would be interested in this topic. How does one get into imagining things to be better until they are and out of their anxiety? She described purpose as where your deep gladness and deeper self meet. And I just think she's really great. She had a life where she spent a lot of time sick in bed. And this is what she wanted to turn around. And she talks a lot about being into the body. First of all, like, where do you not feel at peace in your body? And then how do you use your mind to imagine what you truly desire until you get out of that feeling of fear and the lack of what you don't have and into a lighter place of fulfillment and feeling, even if it's just in your imagination right now. Have you heard of her before?
I haven't. I'm excited to read this book, though. I
Yeah.
purchased it on a website to read.
Yeah, she's really great. I I I like her vibe, I like her energy. She's been around for a long time. And of course, I've always been interested in Abraham Hicks. Actually, the last time I was in Edinburgh, I attended a 2-day seminar, Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, along with, now her husband has passed away, his name's Jerry, but all about, even though the first place I go to is God and in prayer, probably the second thing I think about when there's something that I desire change with, it is my mind. Is the mind is so incredibly powerful. So Esther Hicks talks about the law of attraction. It's all kind of connected, right?
I just think about kids who obviously use their imagination every
Mm,
all day long.
mhm.
And maybe that's why they're so happy go lucky. And then we get to be adults and it's like, oh, sorry, hit you in the face with student loans and mortgages and jobs and responsibilities. And we
Yeah,
get so stuck in that place that we forget how powerful imagination can be.
yes. And those are real things that happen. You know that saying, believe it and then you'll see it instead of see it and then until you believe it. I really believe in that because there have been so many experiences in life. If you really think about some of these wonderful things that you have created, the mind is incredibly creative. Whether it was a degree that you wanted to finish or something you wanted to build, anything you wanted to create in your life, whether it was physical or non physical, it started with you really thinking about it and desiring it and wanting it. She says that imagination, imagine what it is that you desire, what it is that you want, just long enough to get out of that fear. And Abraham Hicks would agree, the feeling of lack of what you don't have, which will bring you more of what you don't have. Do you ever notice when you're like, oh, I don't have enough money? It feels like there's less and less.
Nobody wants to fail. Nobody wants to feel less than. So it's an act of courage to use your imagination and think about what if.
It is. Yes.
What if you do create this company? What if you do start writing your book?
Yeah, what would it look like if that were a tremendous success? Success, whatever it is.
That's how people need to start looking at it. Even if you do the what if game and you're starting a business. Okay, so what if I start this business? What if it fails? What if I can't get funding? You have to do the opposite too. What if it succeeds? Because you have to be prepared in case it takes off. And it doesn't hurt, that's for sure, to put some positivity into the universe.
It only helps from a spiritual, energetic perspective. It raises your vibration. So you automatically be catapulted a bit. I mean, sometimes really big leaps don't happen. It's a difficult thing to go from a really huge leap. Like if I said, "Well, I want to be president of the United States tomorrow," right? That's
Yeah,
a really big leap energetically. In case you decided and saw opportunity and saw yourself, becoming mayor, and
right,
that can be the beginning of whatever the next thing is for you politically, if you so have the desire. Yeah.
right.
And earlier, I was asking you about your own fear because people will say, "Well, what does that mean to turn it around? What does it mean?" It's just a change in perception of being willing to see something differently, which is also another Course in Miracles ideal. Be
Mhm.
willing to see something differently. So when I asked you, "Do you want to share the fear that you told me?" When I said, "Well, what do you really fear?"
Sure,
So we can give people an example
I think this is the typical mom fear. It's having something happen and my kids need me and I can't get to them. So maybe I can see them. I think that would make it worse even. I think about that. Like, what if we're in a car accident and I'm stuck in the front and they're in the back and I can't get to them? I would never want them to feel that fear than to see something bad happen to me.
a valid fear. And and yes, one that mothers have. But what if you were to imagine their complete safety, their divine protection around them,
Mhm.
seeing them happy, seeing that not happening.
Right. Flipping the script. And I
Correct.
think there's something to be said about getting stuck in your head when I'm just sitting at my desk maybe and my mind starts to wander, and for whatever reason, my anxiety takes me to that negative place.
Mhm.
Remembering in the moment, you're a completely different person because 'cause you're then flooded with all kinds of, adrenaline, and of course, you're gonna turn it on and do what you can to save everybody or make it
Yeah,
okay as you can.
that's how powerful your imagination is. It causes adrenaline. That fear causes adrenaline in your body.
Mhm,
And I think that's why Martha Beck, talks a, a lot about how important it is to feel that fear in your body and then really take the time to flip the script and then see how you feel. Because when you do that, you should feel elation, fulfillment, safety, whatever the good feelings are that you'd rather have, whatever that thing is you fear. I'll never fall in love. What if it's like love is everywhere? I'll fall in love again any minute. That's the truth and that's the real possibility. Of course
mhm.
bad things happen, but then they're past. But what if you start with now in this moment, which is all we have, with your really unique self, because no one else is you. What is the greatest fear that you have, listener? And what would it look like if you saw it the opposite way?
When I was a kid, Wendy, I was very active. You would say I had high energy.
Mm.
And I was an only child for a very long time, so I had an imaginary friend. I was constantly imagining and playing by myself. And then once I had kids, it's like I used it all up because the girls will wanna play Barbies, and I just kinda sit there and I was like, "Well, you gotta give me, like, a backstory. I need some guidance. I can't just come up with it on my own."
Mm.
It
Mhm.
Then I have to look for ways, and I'm open to suggestions about how to spark that curiosity again. I mean, I always hated playing Barbies, so maybe if we played something else, but I don't tell them that. But it just seems like another job sometimes to have to think about s even though it's good stuff, just coming up with something that would really make me happy.
But the interesting thing is, it's just like meditation or prayer, right? We can put it off, but the moment that we actually do it, we're like, "Oh, that felt really good. That felt good. I'm so glad I took the time to do that."
This fits. I think I told you this. I've been at a job for over half of my adult life, and I thought it would be where I was gonna be forever, and it wasn't quite working out, probably for the last, I don't know, 7 years, and I quit. I quit, like, 3 days ago. It's taken me at least 3 years. I knew 3 years ago that this was not filling my cup, right? It wasn't where I was supposed to be, but I was so afraid because it's the only thing I've known for so
Mhm.
long, and, I fully expected to be completely depressed afterwards and freaking out because paycheck and health insurance are important, but I can't remember the last time I felt so light.
Isn't it wonderful? And you had to imagine enough, think about enough of why it was going to be better to leave that job than to stay.
The universe had my back, and whatever happened, it was just time.
Yes. And there's truth to that. Spirit, God will always have your back. You're never alone with God, not a day, not a moment. You had the intention, but not just the intention to change it, the willingness to see that part of your life differently and to take the step to make that happen. And then you did.
I
It
did do a little exercise with my future self, which
before you quit the job?
yeah, yep, and I think that was a big catalyst too. I recommend that to anybody. You sit down and pretend like you're having a conversation with your future self because they are out there in another timeline and it has happened for them already, and that positivity was definitely instrumental in giving me the courage. It helped me stop overthinking it.
It is a creative pursuit. That's really important if you're really honest with yourself. You were talking about your childhood, and it reminded me, in my childhood, it was a pretty serious childhood. So I found play. I grew up near Lake Michigan, and I was in nature a lot. And way back before everything was kind of touristy, and I had calm and peace. And I remember I had a subscription to Tiger Beat magazine.
Ooh.
Do you do you remember that
Oh,
magazine?
I absolutely remember that.
And I remember,
New Kids on the Block.
yeah,
Oh.
I was a bit entrepreneurial then. I always had a sense that I wanted to do my own thing, and I always loved music and, had all the posters and stuff around my room. And at the time, dating myself, I think every issue was like 75 cents, right? And I got it for Christmas the whole year, subscribed, and I didn't have a lot. We didn't grow up with much. But I remember that I would buy foam core and make really creative frames for the pictures of, like, Aerosmith or Kiss or, Motley Crue, all the bands that were in Tiger Beat or all the heartthrobs, that were in Tiger Beat at the time.
Obviously.
And I would use my colored pencils and my markers and I would take them on the bus with me, and then I would put the photos in frames, and then I would sell each one for 25 cents. And so
You're
for
a
every
genius.
75-cent issue, I think I was making $8
Wow.
until I became, quote, unquote, "a distraction in class." I was in 3rd grade.
How dare they stifle your
Oh,
entrepreneurism?
yeah. Called the parents in. I If I were bored in class, I was selling my frames with my Tiger Beat images. And what I would give to see those now, but it got to the point where I had a list, who wanted this band, who wanted that heart,
Mhm.
whatever. And at the time, it was almost like it was taught that was a bad thing for using my imagination or being entrepreneurial, and I'm sure
Right.
people with other entrepreneurial minds and businesses, they've certainly been through their own version of
Mhm.
this, and I think that is the contrast, like, you have to go through things to go, "Well, no, I can't not be creative. I can't." not, try to bring joy in serious situation. I always felt that was a way, oh, that did bring me joy. And it was a way to communicate with other people. And I've always been a visual person. And it was so much fun. But anyway, my whole point in thinking about this and what you were speaking to about thinking like a child, trying not to lose that childlike wonder. I love that when I see that in grown-ups that come in, or just anywhere, just grown-ups that come in as clients or grown-ups who I know how important it is to keep that sense of play. Be really honest with yourself. How much play are you allowing? How much imagination are you allowing in your life? And a few of the things you can do once you've gotten honest and once you're really ready to dream, once you've identified a part of your life that you'd like improved upon or better or completely different, allowing yourself, giving yourself the permission to go there and to turn off the phone and turn off the noise around you as much as possible and just sit with yourself for 5, 10, 15 minutes and just begin to see your heart's desire until you're in the feeling of it. The feeling is crucial. It's not enough to just see it. You have to kind of work with it so you get into the feeling of it. So when it does come along or there's an energetic match to that in your life, you'll recognize it and it'll recognize you. It's kind of right, like attracts like, if we go there. But we had also talked about the importance of vision boards. What's been your experience
I have
with?
always wanted to create a vision board, and
Mhm,
I've tried a couple of times, but in this day and age, finding magazines is not super easy. But,
mhm,
um, I actually hosted a class. We did a workshop at the beginning of this year, and I have never been more proud of this board. I knew this was gonna be a big year because this board was just amazing, and I have it's moved around a little bit. I had it in my office downstairs, but I've moved it up to my closet so I can see it when I get dressed every day, and I did just not really think. I just decided I was gonna be an open vessel, and whatever I saw, I grabbed, and
mhm.
it's crazy how all of it will come together.
It is amazing, and it is so, so, so powerful. It doesn't have to be magazines. Yeah, I use Canva every year at the beginning of the year. I go into Canva, and you can import your own photos, you can use stock images. I create a really huge vision board of what I envision for the year, best case scenario. You can collage, and then you can print it for $10 or something. I don't know, whatever it was. And they'll send it to you and you can frame it. I wake up and I see it every day. And there was a year where I created a vision board and there was a big sailboat on it. There was a camera, like a professional camera, because at the time I was living in Los Angeles. I was in West Hollywood. I lived at Jim Morrison's last known residence on Norton.
You just dropped that little nugget like it was nothing.
Oh, my life is pretty interesting. It is full of adventure and interesting stories. So the reason I was bringing up Morrison was so some of the media had started contacting me. There was a very famous ghost show that was on. They wanted me to be on the show. They had heard I was living in his home. They wanted to know my experiences, but they also wanted me to not be honest
No.
about his energy, his true. I mean, his energy is poetic and quiet on the other side. He's not debaucherous and a raging rock star. He had moments of this here. So anyway, I didn't agree to do the show. I'm sure it would have brought some notoriety. I wasn't interested in that as much as being honest and being there, having the experiences and doing the work that I was doing there. Anyway, the other thing next to the camera and the sailboat on my vision board was a image of a very handsome man, a ginger-haired man with his face in the sunlight, smiling. At the time, I was single. There was one night that I actually went to LACMA, which is the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, to see the remaining members of The Doors, which is the band that Jim Morrison was the lead singer for. And I went on my own, and I was standing in line, And this guy walks up behind me in a line. I mean, probably 100 people at least at that point, and he looks like the guy in the vision board. And I'm thinking, I love this. This man turned out to be one of the great loves of my life until he passed away in 2019. But the point being is, we had a lot of really good years. He had a sailboat, just like the picture on my vision board next to this similar looking man's face. He
What?
also was a cameraman. So the camera that I thought was connected to media was, I think, also connected to him. The point just being open to what these images might end up looking like. It was even better than I could have imagined. Moving forward, we're in Los Angeles. We find out that our moms live 4 exits away from each other on I-94. And it's kinda sad because when I drive down 94 now, there's a sign at his mom's exit that says, "In honor of so and so." I'm so grateful for the time that we had. Also, I'm living on Norton, where Morrison's last US residence was. He then moved to Paris after that, but anyway, Los Angeles is huge. This country is huge. Our moms live 4 exits away from each other in Michigan. He lived 6 houses away when I met him in Los Angeles.
Wow.
There are things that are destined, and we have our hand in creating too. We have our hand in creating with the creator. God will not deny us the desires of our heart. It
Yeah.
can look even better if we allow that greater energy in. But imagination, envisioning, vision boards, making lists, I don't think it can really be underestimated. I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but my experience and the reason I vision board is because I just know it works.
I think expectation has a lot to do with that, right? The people that don't do it more than likely have an unrealistic expectation. They either think it's gonna be they automatically imagine themselves as millionaires or starting off a business and having it be successful right away. And while that would be nice, it's slow and steady.
I want people to have unrealistic expectations, you
Yeah.
know?
Because you
Like,
don't get it right away doesn't mean it's not gonna happen. It's
yes,
just it's
exactly. There's something about writing something down and then just letting it go, creating the board and letting it go. I
Mhm.
wasn't attached to that board. I would look at it and then I would carry on with my life because attachment, as the Buddhists again say, it's like suffering. So you don't want to really attach, like it has to look like this. It's going to happen on this month. I remember having a friend once who said, well, so and so, we're going to go to this country and then we're going to get pregnant in this month and then we're going to move back and then we're going to live here. And none of that happened. I don't think they necessarily took the time to really see that. It was more like a want, and it came from a place of forced energy or control. But if you
Yeah.
allow yourself to imagine what you can, what Martha Beck says in this podcast that I heard, she was talking about how creativity in the brain actually shuts down anxiety. So you want to have the pie in the sky visions. You don't have the thing is, people think they have to figure out how. You don't have to figure out I could never in a million years have figured out the hows on my vision boards. I have a strong faith. I believe in energy. I know that everything is energy. When I met TJ, there was a recognition. When I see photos of him on his sailboat, I think how beautiful that was. And I think letting go of the how something is going to happen is really important. Anybody that's achieved a lot, it's not that you don't show up or you don't make a call or you don't talk to that person when you're feeling inspired in spirit, inspired. It just means we're capable of so much more. And I remember Marianne Williamson, she'll talk about this, and I just adore her. Of Course in Miracles say we're capable of so much more than we believe we are. You get to co create, be creative with the universe and see what happens. Just try it, see what happens. You can't say, I need this to happen by Tuesday at 1 o'clock, right? That's forcing or not really allowing it. The universe wants to show you what it can do for you.
I agree with that. Yeah, imagination has to be looked at as a tool, not as escapism. Also,
Yes,
you wanna use it to escape a little bit. I don't begrudge anybody in this world that we're currently living.
it's a tool,
Tool.
but you wanna escape into the I think if I'm understanding you correctly, I disagree. You almost just have to have this unbridled view, because if you have restriction in your imagination, then you're limiting what you're capable of or what you're thinking could ever really happen. So you're likely to then settle more often. And there's a lot that goes into this, right? It's self worth is really important to know that you really deserve these things in terms of it being important as you're working toward your feeling purposeful and meaningful in life. The reality is you are.
Absolutely.
What if there were no restrictions on time, energy, place? The mind will want to jump in and say, no, that couldn't happen because of this. No, that couldn't happen because of that. And it doesn't always happen exactly like you think you will. There was a time I wanted to live in Scotland. I was in a relationship. Later, after TJ had passed, I wasn't in a great place in my life to make these decisions. I moved to Scotland. I was with a man. I was living on a beautiful estate. I realized that I love Scotland more than I love this person. Still, that experience came up. It happened. And I thought it was going to be the love affair with the person. No, it was my love affair with Scotland
Mhm.
that was what I was truly shown. So, not attaching to the outcome. When you see yourself in your imagination in a place, and then you're seeing yourself in your reality in that place, be open to what the lesson is there for you. I believe, spiritually, if you're really drawn to something, then there's a reason, there's something for you to learn from, but you can't always anticipate what that will be. You'll just be placed in it so that you know. You can use your mind to set you free, really, right? Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, it starts that way before anything's actually manifested in your life. I think if we were going to give people an exercise around this, I think ideally you could write your ideal day. What would that look like? What would it feel like? Let there be no limits. When something comes up and it says, I really wouldn't be able to do that because of this reason, put that aside. Like I would always say growing up, oh, if I were Oprah, I'd have a massage every morning. Like every single, and I don't need to be Oprah. Maybe I don't need one every day. I don't limit that, but now I can do things like that I couldn't do for many years.
Just stuck to your vision.
So,
Love it.
and the visions are many and varied and they change all the time. So, when you were leaving that job, what were the things you were envisioning that would be better for you? It looks like freedom, but what specifically did you see and feel differently before you made that decision in your mind?
I just knew that it wasn't aligning with my values, and if I want to be in a true partnership, it wasn't gonna happen there, and I knew I could find it somewhere else, and staying was just it was a blocker. It was inhibiting me from moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Your body will talk to you. Something will feel right or something won't. I was kind of a people pleaser growing up. A lot of women experience this, and sometimes I would stay in places, workplaces, or relationships or whatever too long because I would just try everything.
Yep.
And if you really pay close enough to your feelings, even just outside of imagination, they will lead you to a better place. Like when you started to feel, well, I want to feel more valued. This is what feeling valued feels like. This is what feeling free and not blocked feels like. And I just think you can't underestimate the power of imagination.
It's so important, we had to do a whole episode on it.
Yeah. And that's just the tip of the iceberg if you really get into the law of attraction stuff. These are the basics of it. Probably all you would really need to get started. And you get to look at your life and what's not working. What would it look like if it was better? It doesn't always mean a huge change, like leaving something. It could look more like working on something. Maybe there's opportunity to work on a marriage or work on the role that you have in a company or whatever it is, or in your family. It doesn't always mean that when you get uncomfortable that things are black and white and you just stop them. Communication is important and the communication with yourself begins the change. Yeah.
Yeah. It all starts with you. You have to be willing to have those hard conversations with yourself and also give yourself grace because no
Yeah,
one else is gonna do it for you. And
yes, with others.
if
Mhm.
other people see you doing it, you are also then a teacher for somebody else, and it's a ripple effect.
Yes, and reaching for the better feeling thing, the better feeling opportunity, Esther Hicks would say, when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, something like that. You can let your feelings, your good feelings, be your guidance system. Your feelings will, if you're really in touch with them, is very purposeful because you'll then know where to put your energy. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I work on this? Have I done everything I possibly can? Then have I ticked every box to make something work? I look back at situations in my life, I wish I would have just had the tools to do more of that. But it's important to speak into why you left that job, feel heard and feel valued and feel that you matter. And you do.
Thank you. You too. I
Thank
This
you.
podcast only works because 'cause we're both here. This was destined.
Yes. It was a great idea. It was your idea. I love
I just
it.
wanted us to be forced to talk to each other every week.
I know we just wanted to see more of each
I just
other.
wanna chat with my girlfriend.
Yes, and to create something. And, it's really funny because when something feels right and good, it's really not so much of a struggle. It's like, "Okay, let's do this," and we just started doing this, and we didn't really know when we started.
Yeah. And
Like,
it's amazing how whatever the topic is, inevitably something has happened even that day before we get to the studio that
yeah,
aligns with what we're talking about.
yeah, energy, the divine, everything's connected, we're all connected, and I feel like this has really helped a few people today, I hope so. So, keep imagining.
Well, I am on pins and needles to figure out what we're gonna talk about next time. So listeners, stay tuned. Make sure to subscribe and share with your friends and imagine something wonderful today.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for listening today.
Please be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the Living with Purpose podcast.
And help us and someone you know by sharing today's episode.